fellow nerds, and welcome to Attacks of Opportunity. I am not John, clearly. I am Jenny, his wife, and you may know me from such videos as women talking D&D and playing D&D with your partner. John's been nice enough to let me take over the channel for a little segment, which weirdly enough is about cooking. I'm okay in the kitchen. I like baking a lot more than actual savory type cooking. But if you put a recipe in front of me, I can follow it and it typically turns out okay. So I thought that this might be interesting in that I spotted this on my Amazon list and thought to myself, what more could we ask for? Hero's Feast is the title of this D&D themed cookbook. And I immediately bought it. It did not cost me 1,000 gold piece chalice. It was only about 20 bucks, so I thought, why not? The preview of it, the pictures really look great, and it's really, really chock full of recipes. So I thought it seemed like it was probably going to be a pretty good deal. And I got it, and our 12-year-old son Logan and I looked through it together, and as you can see, we came up with lots of things that looked tasty and that we would like to try. And I had large ambitions. I was going to do a bread, I was going to do an entree, I was going to do maybe a soup and a dessert and make our own Hero's Feast, which is a great idea, except then logistically I started thinking about that's a lot of ingredients, that's a lot of pressure to make sure everything gets done at the same time. So I dialed it back way back, just for, to try it, see how it went, and show you guys how it turned out. And if you like it, maybe we'll do another recipe or two. If this is a one shot, I am totally fine with that as well. So the neat thing about this book is that it is divided a couple of ways. The first way they've divided up this book is by cuisine. And they've divided it by the races. As you can see here, we've got human, elven, dwarven, halfling, uncommon, and then elixirs and ales. So there's even a chapter on drinks. And they look pretty tasty too. Some are alcoholic, some are non-alcoholic, so there's a little something for everybody there. So that's the first way that they divide up the book. And which I think is really cool, because when you're rolling up a character, that's probably not always the first thing you think about. Like, what did mom used to make back in the old days if you're a dwarf or an elf? What were those things that really made you nostalgic for home? And I think this really hits the nail on the head as far as imagination goes. The other way that they divide the book up is if you were a dwarf and you cast Hero's Feast, what type of things might be in that feast? Well, they've got it divvied up by human, elven, dwarven, and halfling. So you could actually make an entire Hero's Feast based on the race of your choice, or mix it up, whatever you want to do. I mean, this book is just gorgeous. I mean, look at that pie, it looks amazing. What we are going to be trying is something out of the human cuisine, which we thought sounded really good. The Sembian Honey-Glazed Rothe Ribs. Now they are right here. You can see that without the glare. They look pretty good. So I am hoping I can pull this off. And here's what they sound like. Whether you choose beef, pork, or Rothe Ribs, you can't go wrong with this delightful recipe. Multiple layers of a syrupy honey-based glaze, the preferred varietal of honey is that of the Faerunian nation-state of Sembia, are copiously slathered on large racks of ribs before being delicately roasted over an open flame for careful charring. When prepared properly, this slow-cooked sweet meat falls off the bone easier than the head off an unarmed kobold. I'm feeling pretty confident because we all know that's pretty easy. Now, we don't really have Rothe here in Central PA. As you know, that's more of an Underdark kind of creature. But the recipe calls for baby back ribs, which is apparently almost nearly as rare here. I don't know if it's the time of year or if it's a shortage related to COVID, but we couldn't find baby back ribs anywhere around us. So we found something we hope is similar. They're called country style ribs. They are bigger than the baby back ribs, but we're hoping they work just as well. As you can see, I've gathered the ingredients that we'll need to make the sauce. We have, actually it includes lots of spices. We've got some apple cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, Dijon mustard, some honey, ketchup. We've also got some chili powder, some cayenne pepper, oil, paprika, kosher salt, pepper. We've also got a yellow onion, scallions, and a clove of garlic. We're not going to use all the garlic, just some of it. Actually, this is a bulb of garlic. We're going to use a couple of cloves of garlic. See, I can cook. So I'm going to go ahead and chop a few things and start getting the sauce together. And we will kind of give you some updates as we go along, just because I'm not sure how interesting it will be to watch me chop vegetables. Or will it? I don't know. Let's try this again. Okay. Okay, I'm in the process of doing the prep work now. I've got my scallions chopped. I've got my garlic all finely minced. The recipe calls for a yellow onion finely grated. So I've been using my grater here. I tried the small holes. That mostly gave me onion mush. And then I tried the bigger holes, and that doesn't seem to be working much better. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just finely chop it. It just seems like that would be reasonable. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added the liquid ingredients to the bowl to make the sauce. That includes the ketchup, the honey, the Dijon mustard, the Worcestershire sauce, the apple cider vinegar, and I'm whisking it together. Unfortunately, I wasn't really reading far enough into the recipe, which calls for a tablespoon of oil, and because I was on a roll, I just was dumping everything into the bowl, and it turns out the oil was to use in the skillet to prepare the onions. I accidentally put it in the bowl. I think it'll be fine. It smells really good. It looks good, as you can see. I haven't tasted it yet, but it does smell really, really good. I've got all my chopped stuff here. We can see as I tip it down. We've got our scallions, garlic, onion. There's the onion mush. That didn't really work out very well. But that's okay. Sometimes things happen and you just got to improvise on the fly with cooking. At least that's my motto. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting the onions in the frying pan and get those sizzled up. So right now we're just getting our onions cooked up and soft. Just got a little salt in there right now. We're going to start adding some spices shortly. And then we'll start adding the liquid ingredients into the onions and the spices. Okay, so with the onion, we've gone ahead and added the cayenne pepper, the paprika, and the chili powder, and the garlic. And we're just sort of whisking this in here till it gets fragrant, which it's starting to get now, definitely. It smells a bit spicy in here. And then what we're going to do is slowly add the liquid part and get this to a simmer. Okay, here we go. We're going to start adding the liquid mixture. Kind of mix everything in there. Might trim the heat down a tiny bit. Seems like a good idea. And then I'm going to try and incorporate all of the spices, the onions, and the liquid parts together to make a nice sauce, which is coming together here. Scraping the bottom of the pan too. I learned that's a pretty good idea to get all the stuff off the bottom. Just adds to the flavor a little bit. And then we're just gonna kind of simmer this for about 5 minutes. And then once that's finished, I'll get the ribs out and we'll start prepping the ribs for the oven. So I've done a lot of the messy work off camera. I have sauced the one side of the ribs, salt and peppered both sides, and I'm about to sauce the other half of the ribs. Now, what I have found is they had recommended putting just a little less of the sauce on the bone side and then turning the ribs over. But again, I don't have baby back ribs. These country ribs have bones, but as you can see, they are very large, and the bones are actually on the side of them. So I don't really have a bone side and a non-bone side. I just have two sides. So improvise, right? So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to hope that these cook okay. They're very thick also, I would say. These are about 1 inch thick. Maybe some of them are larger than that even. But the recipe calls for about 2.5 to 3 hours. And of course, I'm going to keep checking to see what kind of done we are. But the smells really good. The sauce smells good. The ribs look gigantic. But when you have a 12-year-old son and a husband, I don't think that we're going to have much in the way of leftovers, quite honestly. So once I get these all sauced, and I'll show you a little picture of it in just a moment, we will go ahead and put them in the oven, and then we'll see what happens. I hope they come out nice. If not, you know, there's plenty of pizza places here, but I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. They're ribs, right? What could go wrong? Okay, so here is what the ribs look like before they're going into the oven. As you can see, like I described earlier, they are pretty thick. They're pretty large. Luckily, we already had one of these pans with the wire racks, which they do recommend that you use. So we're going to go ahead and pop these into the oven. It's been preheating for quite a while now. And we'll see you in like 3 hours. Okay, it's been 2 hours, and I want to check the temperature of the ribs and make sure that we're not going to die. So let's take a look here. They are looking pretty good. And I just want to say, it smells amazing in here. I don't want to brag, but it's true. Okay, let's take a peek and see what our temperature is. It's supposed to go up to 205. Okay, so I'm not sure why the cookbook says the pork has to be 205 because I cannot seem to get it past 175. And after looking it up on the trusty internets, this pork is fine. It's done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out. I'm going to re-sauce it just for a little bit of fresh sauce there. And then we're going to pop it back in the oven for just a few minutes just to get like a nice sweet sticky glaze on top. And although I'm not making any bread from scratch, maybe next time, I'm going to throw in just some Pillsbury biscuits so we can get, you know, a nice warm fluffy biscuit while we're in there. So I'm going to take them out now. And we're going to get saucy with them. I did end up putting a little bit of aluminum foil over the top of it just because the tops were kind of getting brown, which is good. I mean, everything is looking good, but in order not to get them, you know, burnt, I wanted to put a little extra protection over them. But everything is smelling good. It's looking good. I'm pretty sure it's going to taste good too. So we'll check back in just a few minutes. Okay, so our ribs are finished. They're on the table. The boys are eating. Guys, what do you think?
Very good. Good.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to dig in myself. So from our family to yours, happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe. So the ribs are demolished. We have some biscuits with it, some corn, and some mashed potatoes. Logan's not a big fan of being on camera, but I got some nice compliments during the dinner. 9 out of 10 IGN. This stuff is awesome. You should bottle it and sell it. And it's Epic Gamer food. So I think it was a hit. John also enjoyed himself. As a matter of fact, he's still eating in the dining room. So I had a really good time making this video. I do wish that I hadn't left the pork in such a long time. It was a little on the dry side, but it was still really good. I think there was just a little confusion with the temperature of the meat, but it worked out just fine. I totally forgot to put the scallions on. Who cares? Nobody cares. It was fine. It would have just looked a little greener. That's okay. A little prettier. But no, I had a really good time and enjoyed myself. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you guys like it as well. If so, maybe we'll do another one sometime. If you're not into cooking, that's okay. But thanks a lot. I really enjoyed myself. See y'all later. Happy Sithmas to all, and to all a good night. Yes, this is actually our Christmas tree. We do it every year. May the force be with you.